I have learned to label my emotions and give it a name.
Okay.
And for the past few days that we started, I think I've yelled less. I was about to yell today when I remembered that, okay, I am not supposed to yell. And I had to calm down and in the most gentle voice address what my son was doing.
Ah.
Even though he was yelling back and saying, no, no, I had to tell him that, okay, can you calm down? How do you feel? Can you talk to me? He talked to me, but I know it's a process, it's a gradual process. And with time, we'll get there.
Thank
So
you.
I try to work on the workbook too. So
Okay.
yes, I'm transitioning bit by bit. That's what I'll say.
Thank
Thank you.
you. And well done for doing the work. Congratulations. Well done for being mindful. Yeah, well done. Thank you. And
Wasn't easy, oh.
I know it's not going to be. It's not supposed.
So yes, I just had to do it
It's not supposed to be
because
easy. It's
I
not
won't
going to
lie.
be.
At that point, it felt like yelling was the fastest way to solve the issue, but remembering the effect it would have on the child and also on my health, I had to control myself. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your feedback, Kachi. Thank you. And welcome to today's class. So we get right into it. Welcome to day 3 of our parent-child series on yelling and tough love. And I'm happy that we're here. I'm happy that we're learning. I'm happy that somehow, even in the most subtle ways, these things register in our mind. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this course. And thank you for the privilege to walk you through this process. I do not take that for granted. Thank you very, very much. Tonight's session is quite a special and sensitive one. And I'd like to ask that you take this as calmly and as softly as possible. Like we started, no judgment, no shaming, no criticism, no negative energy or negative feedback whatsoever. We are not here to make anybody feel less or make anybody feel bad or make anybody feel worse, but basically for us to understand our processes, understand ourselves better, and then learn how we can do better for ourselves and how we can heal better for ourselves. Once again, thank you for being here. I'll start by saying that you're not a bad parent. You are simply a healing parent, which is what our topic is today. You're not a bad parent. You are a healing parent. And because you are a healing parent, like we described healing yesterday, one layer of one ball of onion and one layer has to dry up before exposing or giving room or giving way for another layer. That is what healing is. So that is how deliberate you're going to be, or we have to be, for this journey of healing to really give us the results that we desire. I mean, of course, we didn't like it when it was happening to us, and we honestly desire to pass a different legacy down to our children. So if you're going to do something differently, if you're going to hand our children a different legacy, then the work has to start with us. Because if we do not do it, then we are giving them extra work to have to do. They would grow up into adults who are trying to heal from their childhood. And we do not want that, which is why we're here. So thank you for being here. Like I said, you're not a bad parent. You are just a healing parent. That statement might sound refreshing. That statement might sound soothing, might feel like a balm, or maybe it might feel like a bitter pill to swallow. Yeah, because most times we are not really in tune with how much we really need to heal from. But depending on where we're standing, that is what will determine how that statement comes at us. But it is the truth. We are not bad individuals. We are not bad parents. The fact that you make mistake doesn't make you a bad parent. It only shows that on this healing process, as it is a process, it is also a learning process, learning to do better and learning to heal better. Most of us weren't raised the way we are raising our children. That's the truth. For instance, I was having a conversation with my husband this morning, and then I said, see, the way I'm parenting my children right now, that was not how I was parented. That was not, I mean, so my daughter received an award for the most outspoken child in her class, in a class of 24 or something, 2 arms. And she received an award for the most outspoken child in her class. In my time, I was always told to shut up, you talk too much. Is it everything you see you must say? So whilst we are trying to do better, we are basically doing a lot of trial by error. But then it doesn't have to be that way. We can come from a place of deliberate intentions. So that is why we are here. We are parenting from a clean slate. And while we are parenting from a clean slate, we also know that we are still bleeding from the wounds, from the hurts. And because we are still bleeding from the wounds and the hurts that we didn't ask to have, we are likely going to repeat a lot of patterns that we promised ourselves we would never expose our children to. I remember having a conversation with my mom when I was pregnant, and I knew the kind of relationship I had with her, and I had to tell her at some point, I said, see, if this our relationship continues like this, I'm not sure I want you to be in my house when I have kids, because my children cannot see me and you have this level of disagreement, this level of misunderstanding. I don't want them to think it's normal, because it is not. I want a warm relationship with my children. And I can't have a warm relationship with my children if they keep seeing me bickering with my mom. So that was what I said to her. But then I also knew that after I had children, in fact, there was a conversation I went back and told her. I said, see, mommy, you try though. Because having all the children that you have, I have just, how many kids? 3 kids. And sometimes I feel like removing my head and just keep my body separate and let the head just breathe. So how did you deal with all the pressure of having all of those children, dealing with in-laws and all of that and all of that? I mean, right now, in-laws are easier to relate with. So the truth is, I said that to say that our parents had it absolutely different. Their struggles were different. Their experiences were different. The exposure was different. Their time was very different. We might have had experiences that hurt us. I mean, of course, we had a lot of experiences that hurt us and impacted us negatively, but let's give it to them. They also had their struggles. So we are not going to hold them responsible for these things. What we will do is hold ourselves responsible for our recovery process, for our healing process, understanding that right now we are adults and we are our own responsibility. All that they did wasn't because they wanted to hurt us. All that they did wasn't because their intention wasn't to damage us or make us into damaged goods. No. Their intention was discipline. Their intention was love in the best way that they knew, because most of them really didn't know better. And they kept giving, even when they didn't have anything to give. I mean, how do you describe a mother who goes to work all day, closes from work, comes back obviously tired, drained, yet still has to attend to the children, still has to cook food for everybody, still has to make sure that the home is clean, still has to make sure that the children's bed is laid, their lunch bag is in place, their uniforms are sorted, food is ready, tomorrow's breakfast is also in line before going to bed, remembering that she came back very tired. So they kept giving even when they didn't have anything to give. So can we now count it against them that they honestly didn't have anything to give, but they still kept giving to us? We honestly can't blame them for it. I mean, could they have done better? Yes, they could have done better, even for themselves. They could have prioritized themselves. Maybe if they prioritized themselves, their self-care, their emotions, their feelings, maybe things would be different. But we also can't blame them for giving so much of themselves to us. What we can do is take absolute responsibility for our process. And that's what we are doing. So thank you again for being here. Now, because we do not want to hurt our children with the same experiences that we had, or with the same childhood hurts and wounds that we are having to heal from, we are having to take the brave step. We are having to take the bold step. We are having to take absolute responsibility for our process. We are taking the brave step of looking at where the pain is and making sure that the pain ends with us. Making sure that the pain ends with us and we're starting with a clean slate. So we stop the damage, start the repair, and then rebuild the process. That is what we are taking absolute responsibility for. So we are starting right away. Who is a healing parent? Who is a healing parent? A healing parent is not a perfect parent. No. A healing parent is not a perfect parent. A healing parent is simply someone who has paused long enough to question things. Someone who has paused long enough, who has taken time to process their experiences, their childhood, what they're currently doing, and is asking a lot of questions right now. Questions like, why do I do what I do? Questions like, why does this behavior from my child trigger me so much? Why do I feel deeply triggered when my child behaves in a certain way? Why do I sound like my mom, or why do I sound like my dad when I raise my voice? Sometimes you're talking to your child and you can literally hear yourself sounding like that voice that traumatized you the most. So you're questioning things. Why do I shrink? Or why do I blow up when I feel disrespected? I was telling somebody a few days ago that for me, one of my biggest triggers right now is anything that sounds like cheating. Anything that sounds like you're trying to cheat somebody or you're trying to take advantage of somebody in some way, which is an average problem, which is like a problem with almost every average Nigerian system right now. So you go to a particular place, and on a normal day, the price of the service being rendered is probably 1,500 naira. And then you get there and they tell you, because you people are plenty, and because what you want to do is not just chilling or not just relaxation, or maybe because you're going for content and you're going to be using cameras there, and then they hike the price. Why are we sabotaging ourselves as a community? So my biggest triggers right now is anything that sounds like cheating or anything that sounds like we're taking advantage of somebody. What is your biggest trigger currently? What is it that when it happens, it makes you shrink? Or it makes you just blow up? Is it disrespect? Is it verbal abuse? Is it... It could be as little as a facial expression. Maybe you're talking to somebody, or maybe it wasn't even you the person was talking to. Maybe somebody was having a different conversation. I remember somebody asking me, how do you deal with this person when having a conversation? And I'm like, how do you mean? And they said the person's facial expression alone. I say, well, I don't read it. For me, it is your voice I'm listening to. In fact, there are times I'm having conversation and I'm not listening to your tone of voice because I already toned it myself. So we are going to have to get to that point where we do not allow these things to trigger us anymore. It is a healing process. A healing parent is someone who chooses awareness over autopilot. Autopilot is when you look, and even though the person is looking at you like this, you feel offended about it. That look could be from anywhere. For someone like me, my facial expression can sell me out any day. So you can be talking to me and I'm not saying anything. Yeah. But the expression that I wear is speaking a million and one things. So I had to deliberately learn to control my expression and just have a default facial expression, because we can be gisting, and because I'm a visual learner, when you are gisting me, I'm not just listening to what you're saying, I'm imagining it in my head. And the moment I begin to imagine it, my facial expression is coming from that picture in my head, not what you are saying. So when we are having a conversation and you are reading my facial expression, you can be lost. You can feel offended and think all of that was about you. Is my brain playing antics? So for someone like me, I don't really, you know, so I said all of that to say that sometimes people's output is not a factor of what we are giving. It doesn't have anything to do with us. So we are going to have to be aware of these things. A healing parent is someone who chooses awareness over autopilot. Autopilot is, look at how you're talking to me. Why did he talk to me like that? And when he was talking, his tone of voice was one kind. That is autopilot. Awareness is knowing that it is my duty to self-regulate, irrespective of what any other person does or says. My responsibility is first about me. So, now when it comes to healing, my journey on my progress on my healing journey is my responsibility. Nobody is going to heal for me. Nobody is going to treat me for me, quote and unquote. So if I want to heal, I'm going to have to be the one to seek help. I'm going to have to be the one to do what needs to be done. I'm going to have to be the one to make sure that, quote and unquote, I'm taking the medication that I'm supposed to take. One of those medication is making sure that I surround myself with people who do not feed that trauma that I'm trying to heal from. If for me, what traumatized me the most was shouts, while I am trying to heal, I don't want to be around people who will always shout at me. It will hamper the process. So whatever healing is to you, in your process, in your healing process, you don't want to be around people who will be reminders of the triggers. You want to surround yourself with people who will nurture the peace that you're trying to train, who will nurture the health, who will help you to nurture yourself back to your individuality, which is what is taking us to the next phase. Emotional triggers and childhood memories. Emotional triggers and childhood memories. Now, what are emotional triggers? Let's break it down. Those comments or those things or those experiences you receive that the moment, or it could be a signal, the moment it drops, it just makes you either want to scream or shout or react in a way that makes you feel unprotected, in a way that makes you feel unsafe. Those things that happen and you immediately feel naked, basically. Or you immediately feel hot, or you immediately feel like that child who needed to hide to feel safe. Those are emotional triggers. It could be as little as statements like, this child is just too stubborn. It could be as little as statements like, why are you just after my life? It could be as little as, why do you like pressing my button? I just can't stand the way you roll your eyes at me. It could be as little as that. So what are those emotional triggers? What is one thing that when your child does it, you feel like your child is being disobedient, or you feel like your child is being disrespectful? What is that thing? that when your child does, it makes you feel the need to want to control the immediate situation, or to want to control what she's doing, or how she's reacting, or how she's responding. That is an emotional trigger. When your child does something, whether it is disobeying, shouting, crying, or talking back at you, your brain quickly searches its memory files to find similar experiences. And many times, it lands back on your childhood experiences. It lands back on how you received feedbacks or how you were given feedbacks as a child. Excuse me. So maybe as a child, when your parents speak to you and you talk back, they would yell at you, even if what you were saying was not disrespectful. Now, because you were yelled at for talking back as a child, automatically it becomes a trigger. So when you're talking to your child and your child is trying to explain something, you're quick to say, keep your mouth shut. You don't talk when I am talking. Yada, yada, yada. And all of the plenty English that will begin to speak. Or if it is Yoruba or Igbo that you speak when the emotions are heightened. So that's one thing that when you were a child, you were not allowed to do. Even though for you it was a defense mechanism. Even though for you it was you trying to protect yourself. So maybe when you were talked back, when you talked back as a child, you were beaten, or maybe you were never even allowed to express your emotions, or you were not even, in fact, some of us grew up in environments where you were not allowed to have an opinion. So the moment you have a different opinion and you try to express that different opinion, you are labeled as what now? Rebellious. You are labeled as disobedient. You are labeled as disrespectful. You are labeled as what? Stubborn. Or maybe you were the very sensitive child that any little thing gets you crying. And because of that, labeled you to be the manipulative. You know how we say it now as parents? Children are so manipulative. Children are not manipulative. So now, maybe you were labeled as the manipulative child because you were an emotionally sensitive child. So whenever you start to cry, in Yoruba they say asukun roja or something. There's a way they say it in Yoruba, that one person that likes to cry and cry and cry even when nothing is wrong. So they will call such a person a manipulative person. Could you please mute yourself when you join the call, please? Thank you. Maybe you were told that you were too sensitive as a child. So now, even when your child is trying to express his or her emotion, you just can't deal with it. Mrs. Adekonye, could you please mute yourself, ma? Could you please mute yourself, ma? When you join the call, could you please mute yourself? Someone should please let me drop it on the group. Once you join the call, please mute yourself. Thank you. Someone should please help me drop that message on the group. Once you join the call, please mute yourself. Someone should please drop it on the group. Thank you. Now, so maybe you were told as a child that you were too sensitive or you were manipulative. So now, even when your child feels real pain, you think it is exaggerated. The brain links the past pain with the present moment. So whenever there is a replay of those experiences, the brain just brings back the memory from your childhood experiences. And then it becomes, I mean, of course, you know that our experiences as children are codings, you know. When you enter a command into the computer, maybe Control C, automatically we know that Control C means copy. So that is what our experiences as children were. So when you're faced with a similar experience, you just Control, copy, and paste. Automatically, the reaction comes up. Please mute yourself when you join the call, please. Has anyone dropped the message on participants muting themselves when they join? Please help me do that, please. So the brain links past pain with the present moment, and boom, it serves as a trigger. And of course, when you're triggered in a similar experience that hurt you as a child, the auto response just comes up, because once you on a system, the moment you press Control C is copy anywhere, any day, anytime. So it's just Control C and Control P automatically. What Control C mean? Anywhere, any day, anytime is copy. So whenever that experience comes up, it just Control C's, copy and paste, and then the brain gives you that coding. It interprets it and gives you what that command means. That is what it is. So you react not to your child, but to the memory that was triggered, to the memory that you're yet to heal from. When we do not, as parents, when we don't process our pain, we pass it on in disguise as parenting. When we do not process our pain, when we do not process our hurt, when we do not process the experiences we had, we end up passing it on in the name of parenting. And yesterday we talked about how that is how generational trauma is actually passed down from one generation to the other, and on and on and on. Now let's take a moment to pause a little. I'd like us to I'm receiving an echo, a feedback. I'm receiving a feedback and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. Am I the only person receiving that echo? Is it better now? I think it's better now. So let's pause a little, and then I would like us to think back a little. Can you think of a moment where your reactions shocked even you? Oh, right now I have a million and one scenarios in my head. Think back at where something happened either between you and your child, or you and your spouse, or you and somebody who is really dear to you, somebody you care about, maybe in your family. But for the benefit of this class, let's focus on parenting. So maybe between you and your child. Think back. Can you think of a moment where your reaction shocked you as a person? What childhood memory might that be tied to? For me, the first scenario that played in my head was that of my 3-year-old daughter at a time. She was in nursery 2 and she was 3. She was in nursery 2 and she was given an assignment to write 1 to 500. That's intense. That's too much work for a 3-year-old child's brain. But because I was not even in a place to process my emotions at the time, I was tired. She was tired. And I wanted her to keep writing. So because I wanted her to keep writing and she wasn't doing what I wanted her to do, I ended up beating her. Oh, I beat her that day. And by the time I was done beating her, I started feeling bad. Because that was when it dawned on me, why is a 3-year-old child writing 1 to 500? So I didn't stop to think until I had let out that frustration. And then I used to be a terrible beater, a landmark beater. When I beat my children, then I will beat them until every ounce of anger, every ounce of vexation, every ounce of provocation has left. So I would beat them until I felt better. Oh, that day I beat my child. She was just 3. And it was after beating her, it dawned on me. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're beating a 3-year-old child for not being able to write 1 to 500. 3-year-old. What was that? And then I felt so bad, I started crying. At the end of the day, she was the one consoling. Mommy, it's okay. Mommy, I'm not crying again. Mommy, it's okay. Don't cry. But I knew why I was crying. I knew that my beating her was not because she couldn't write 1 to 500. It was basically because I couldn't even process how I felt, and I couldn't help her feel better. Because she was already frustrated that she was struggling with that assignment. I was frustrated that she was frustrated. I was angry that she was feeling frustrated. Is it her fault? What childhood memory can that be tied to? You know how we try to raise trophy children? How we want to use our children to boast to the entire world. My 2-year-old can write 1 to 2 million. How we want to use our children as instruments or as tools for competition. Who are we competing against? So what that memory triggered for me was the trophy child that I was. The trophy child that I was. I was the only person who wrote WAEC once in my home. The trophy child that I was. So I was looking forward to my child becoming what I couldn't become. I was using myself as the landmark. My child must be better than me. So my child must be able to write 1 to 500 at age 3. Why? So what were your own experiences? What was that one thing that happened, and when you reacted to it, your own reaction shocked you? You can write it in the group, write it in the comment section. You know, after our calls, we still come back to the group to engage and interact. So what was your own experience? Write it in the group. What memory was it for you? What memory was it tied to? Let's move on to the next subtopic, the emotional iceberg. The emotional iceberg behind behaviors. The emotional iceberg behind behaviors. You know, when children behave a certain way, all that we see is that behavior. All that we see is the behavior. We do not see the torrent of emotions going on, the torrent of struggle, emotional struggle going on in their head, in their mind. All that we see is the tantrum, the screaming, the withdrawal, the rudeness, the disrespect, the defiance, quote and unquote, the clinginess. When they come and you feel like they are chingumming you. But beyond all of that, there's something going on. You know, an iceberg is like a floating ice on an ocean. All that you see is just the tip. You don't know how big the size really is in the water. So underneath the surface of the water, there is fear, there is shame, there is loneliness, there is confusion, there is hunger, there is insecurity, there is lack of safety, there is overstimulation, emotional overwhelm, a need for them to try to control their experiences. Is that feeling of them feeling powerless. But all that we see is the tantrum, and we think that the tantrum is about us. No, it is not. So the next time your child screams, the next time your child throws a tantrum, the next time your child withdraws, the next time your child behaves rudely, the next time you think your child is being defiant or disobedient, the next time you think your child is being clingy and is acting like chewing gum, don't just see it as that iceberg. See it as there is a big mass underneath the water, and that iceberg is just a very tiny fragment of all that is going on with them. That way, you'll be able to give them the support that they need. You'll be able to give them the comfort that they need. When your child is upset, you're talking to your child and they throw a tantrum, or in some cases, if you have very vocal children, they tell you, I won't be your friend again. I hate you. In fact, my 4-year-old daughter says that a lot. I won't be your friend again. I don't want to talk to you. Don't come to my room. Don't stay on my bed. That's fine. So the next time they are doing all of that, instead of saying, don't be disrespectful, don't be rude, you could ask questions that will help them unpack their emotions, one layer after the other. And then with time, you get to the story behind that behavior. That is the only way to help them. Children won't say, I feel angry. Children won't say, I feel stressed. Children won't say, I feel tired. Children won't say, I feel anxious or I feel nervous. They will show it in the tantrums. They would show it in the screaming. They will show it in the defiance, whatever it is that you label it to be. That is their call for help. That is their cry for help. And as healing parents, we must learn to be available to them. We must learn to read these things. We must learn to read the story beyond what they are putting out. And the only way to do that is ask questions. Stop to ask yourself questions. In the heat of that moment, you won't be able to ask your child questions because you can't get answers. You won't get genuine answers. So instead of asking questions like, what is wrong with you? Why are you angry? You want to ask yourself, okay, why is this child behaving this way? I mean, obviously, there's something going on. What can I do to help right now so that we can talk about the situation much later? That is where you want to provide emotional support. Emotional support could be as little as just sitting down, say nothing, do nothing. Just sit and let them know you're there with them. I talked about how that my daughter would come back from school and cry for 1 hour, 30 minutes, and she would tell me not to stand up. Sometimes she would tell me to leave her alone. That's fine. Sometimes when I can't take it, I tell her, okay, I know that you want to cry. I want to be there for you, but I can't stand you crying right now. Can I go to my room? But I'll leave my door open so that when you want to talk, I'm there. So in the heat of the moment, what they need is just the emotional support. Just the emotional support. What can we do to help our children? What can we do? Give me a minute, please. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay. What can we do to help our children? How do we move from being reactive parents to responding parents? How do we move from the damage to the repair and then begin to rebuild? The first tool we want to harm ourselves with is the power of pause. You know, we talked about stop and thinking yesterday. Impulse control. We talked about stop and think. Take 5 seconds. When you feel so much emotions going on the inside of you, you want to stop. Pause yourself. If you have to, remove yourself from that entire environment. Because the emotion doesn't have anything to do with you. It is just your child feeling the way they feel. We, growing up, may have not been allowed to really feel our emotions. But we can't deprive our children from feeling their emotions. And to allow them feel their emotions, we don't have to interfere with that process. All we can do is give support. So when you feel the heat rising, take a moment, literally pause, step aside, breathe. 5 seconds, breathe in. Hold your breath for 5 seconds and then breathe out for 5 seconds. By the time you have done that, what you would say won't be the same thing you would have said. In those 5 seconds, your brain is having a reset. In some cases, you might need to count numbers backwards. 1 to 10, 10 to 1. Count 1 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. By the time you are done, your response won't be the same. It could be a water break. You might just need to go take some water and come back. Touch something that makes you... I have a lot of stressor balls. Once I begin to feel... In fact, Sometimes Monday mornings I'm with my stressor ball and my colleague is asking me, this one you're with stress ball in the morning, what's going on? Have something you can fiddle with to distract yourself in that moment. Now, when you give yourself that break, it helps your brain to stop and come back to the present. It helps you to detach yourself from all of that emotion and come back to the present. And then you are able to give your child the level of emotional support that they need. Between trigger and response is a sacred space. And in that space, between trigger and response is a sacred space. And in that space lies your power. In your ability to pause, that is where your power is. So the second thing you want to do is label your emotions before you launch. Yesterday I shared the emotions vocabulary, I shared the emotional chart, I shared the emotions wheel. So you can go through the emotions wheel. You'll see that feeling embarrassed is different from feeling shy, it's different from feeling ashamed, it's different from feeling disappointed. They might feel the same way, but it's not the same. It's not exactly the same. So you label your emotion in that time. So how exactly am I feeling right now? Say it to yourself. Am I feeling angry? You will keep using words until you find that one word that feels like, okay, it captures how you feel in that time. Please, I would advise that you print the emotions documents that I sent. Paste it around, because emotions happen anywhere, any day, anytime. So please, if you have a board, a vision board or a notice board in your home, feel free to paste it there, print it and paste it there in a place that is visible for everybody to see, for everybody to have access to. Okay? So it helps you're able to label how you feel in that moment. Okay, right now, how do I feel? Do I feel tired? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel drained? Do I feel stretched? Label how you feel in that moment. When you label how you feel in that moment, then it helps you to know what to do, how to respond to how you feel. It serves as your reminder to allow yourself feel your emotions and then allow yourself listen to how you feel. And that way, the moment you are able to name that particular emotion, it takes the power away. So you are feeling angry, but you don't know that what you're feeling is anger. So you just keep feeling restless. You are angry, and then you're probably pouring it out on something or people around you. But the moment you are able to name how you feel, I feel angry. Why do I feel angry? You will see that the experience, the feeling is different. The power that that emotion has over you in that time is stripped. So after you have done that, please give me a minute. I need water. So after you have done that, you have stripped the emotion of its power. The next thing you want to do is connect, not correct. The focus is not correcting the tantrum. Most times we correct and then try to connect. We will beat and batter the child, and then afterwards, when we now even want to connect, we are not connecting right. Instead of just going straight to the point, I'm sorry I did this. Let's say you now come and say, I cooked jollof rice, so, and I know you like jollof rice. And there's plenty plantain inside which, plenty orishi. Mommy, stop disguising, just apologize. The world will not end. I just remembered one video I saw. Mop Lagos Lagoon or apologize to your child. And the mother gladly carried mop and was going to Lagos Lagoon. How many years are you going to use a mop Lagos Lagoon? Just apologize. So bulk of the time, we are focused on correcting our children instead of connecting with them. We are focused on correcting instead of connecting. What we should do is connect first. Before you discipline a child, build a healthy connection with that child. Now, have you noticed how when you love somebody, it is easy for you to receive anything that that person is saying. For example, if I don't have any relationship with Susan, and then I just call her and tell her, oh, I just call her and I'm asking her so many whys and whys and whys and whys. If for me, I'm doing it from a place of care, because Susan and I are not very close, will she perceive it as me coming from a place of care? No, she wouldn't. But when we have grown to be cordial, when we are connected, when she knows that I love her, and then I reach out to her and I'm asking her questions, including questions that seem quite personal, her response will be different. So bulk of the time, the first thing is not discipline. The first thing is not correction. The first thing is not lecture. It's not the moral yardstick. The first thing to do is connection. Build a healthy relationship first with that person. When there's a healthy relationship, it serves as a lifetime bridge. It serves as a bridge. That way, the person is able to receive whatever you have to say. The person is open to it. So please, connection first before correction. Before you discipline the child, focus on connection. You can say, I see that you're really upset right now and I'm here. We can talk about it when you're ready or when we both feel calmer. If you know that you talking about it in that moment is not going to be helpful, it's fine. So even when your child keeps coming and says, but mommy, I want to talk about it now, I would rather not talk about it now. Can we wait it out? Even if the child is saying no, I insist we wait it out. I don't want to say things. I say it to my children. I don't want to say anything that I cannot be held responsible for. So I won't have this conversation right now. We will come back to it. So even when my 4-year-old keeps saying, but mommy, it was you, that I understand, but I'm not ready for this conversation yet. When we are both in a calm space, we can now come back and talk about it. It's hard. Like Kachi pointed out earlier, oh yes, it's tough, but it is worth it. And that is what healing is. Healing is not easy. Have you seen somebody who goes to the gym for the very first time and does a lot of stressful things? The muscles are torn into almost how many shreds? So yes, it's not easy. And then the healing process as well is also very painful. It's not going to be easy, but that is what healing is. And in the long run, we are the better for it. Which takes us to the next subtopic, repair. Repair. Repair is powerful even when you miss it. Even when we make mistakes. Because the truth of the matter is we will make mistakes. We are not perfect. We were not raised 100% without trauma. We were traumatized on different levels, on different degrees. So we will make mistakes. We will mess up. You will shout. You will yell. You will threaten. Even you, the mother, will be angry one day and you enter your room and slam the door. You will scream. In some cases, you will beat your child. But the beauty of it is the fact that it is healing. And you can always come back and repair. You can always come back and make amends. And like we said, when you're making amends, let it be genuine. I'm sorry I shouted at you. That was my own frustration. It wasn't your fault. It didn't have anything to do with you. It was basically me struggling to control myself. I didn't handle that well, and I'll try to do better next time. I have never been a mother to you before. This is my first experience at being your mother, and I want to learn to be the mother that you actually need. Not the mother that I think I want to be, but the mother that serves you. Because the mother that your first child needs is different from the mother that your second child needs. It's different from the mother that your third child needs. No two children have the same mother. A lot of factors come into play. Birth order, personality differences, your mood pattern, the way you perceive each child. A lot of factors come into play with how we relate with our children and with how our children experience us as parents. So no two children have the same parents. None. So after you have assured her that you're learning to do better, then you can now ask her, can we talk about what happened? It's okay if you're not ready to talk about it, but whenever you're ready, I'll be willing to talk about it. Reassure the child. Children don't need perfect parents. They just need honest parents who are willing and open to repair. Children don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be genuine. They just need you to be honest to yourself. They just need you to be sincere. So have you ever apologized to your child? Times when you know that this thing I did was actually not fair, or this thing I did was actually not right. Do you genuinely go back to your child and apologize? Or do you do the mother manipulative skills of, I prepared jollof rice and it is just the way you like it. Will you like to taste it? That is not an apology. And the danger, could you please mute yourself, ma? Could you please mute yourself, ma? And the danger to you not apologizing to your child is you're not teaching your child to also apologize. You know, we talked about modeling yesterday. So if your child sees that you struggle to apologize to them when they are also in the wrong, they will also struggle to apologize. Monkey see, monkey do. So when you do not deliberately apologize to your child, you are teaching your child that they can get away with anything without actually apologizing. All they need to do is probably throw a few cash around or throw a few gifts around, which is why we have a lot of adults who don't take responsibility for their misgivings. They don't take responsibility for their mistakes. But you're having a conversation with your friend and your friend did something that was not right, and you're telling that friend that what you did was not okay, and then she keeps going, but I told you that, but oh yeah, now let me go and buy you. Say sorry. Apology does a lot of repair. It fixes a lot of things. So when we apologize to our children, we are teaching our children that we are as human as it gets. We are not perfect. It will also serve as their reminder that they are also not perfect. They are humans. And as humans, we make mistakes. It is only God that doesn't make mistakes. So while we are learning to be God, we also remember that we are God in human form. And as long as we are in human form, the flesh is not perfect. So we will make mistakes. When we make mistakes, we do the repair. So think about it. Have you ever apologized to your child? If you have, how did they respond to it? Did they receive it well? Or did they just feel, you still come back and come and do the same thing? How did they respond to it? How did they take it? Did it make them feel safe? Did it make them feel seen? Because really, most of the time, an apology gives us a lot of closure. A lot. Oh, I see that what I did wasn't fair and I'm honestly sorry. A honest apology gives closure. It doesn't take back the hurt. The hurt has happened, but it gives closure. And when we give that closure to our children, we are creating the safe space that we want to have in the home. So talking about becoming the safe space for our children, ask yourself, can my child come to me when they are scared? Can my child come to me when they are ashamed? Can my child come to me when they have made a mistake? When they feel like they failed at something? Can my child come to me? Let me bring it home and make it more relatable. We all keep saying God forbid. But if anything happens and my child gets pregnant, can she come back and tell me, Mommy, this is what happened? If anything happens and my son gets somebody pregnant, can he come home and bring that girl to me and say, Mommy, see, I made a mistake? Yeah. So can our children see us as their safe space? Because when we talk about our children seeing us as their safe space, that is it. Will they feel safe enough to tell us anything, any mistake at all, to whatever extent, to whatever degree? Can my child come home to me when they are scared, when they are ashamed, or when they feel like they are failed? Or do they hide? Do they try to lie to cover it up? Or do they begin to fidget or tremble? To be a safe space, we need to learn to sit with uncomfortable feelings. My child is crying. I cannot deal with it right now, but I will learn to sit through it. We need to learn to sit with uncomfortable feelings without rushing to fix anything. A quick fix is when your child is crying and you're telling the child to stop crying. Hey, why are you crying? It's every time you used to. That is a quick fix. And the quick fix is not going to help that child because the child still has the pent-up emotion in them. They need to let it out. The quick fix doesn't help to let it out. It doesn't help them unpack the emotion. To be a safe space, we need to teach all emotions are allowed. My child needs to know that it is okay to have emotions. It is absolutely normal to feel the way they feel. All emotions are allowed, but not all behaviors are allowed. All emotions are allowed. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to feel the way you feel, but it is not okay to behave badly because you feel that way. It is not okay to hurt others because you feel a certain way. To be a safe space, we need to show that love is not withdrawn when trust is broken. We need to show that love is not withdrawn when rules are broken. Your child does something and they're coming to you for a hug and you push them away because you're upset with them. At that point, love is withdrawn. Your child did something and because you do not feel pleased about what your child did, you take something. Maybe you usually have a ritual of sitting together to play a game, and because your child did something and you felt hot about it, that quality time that you used to have with your child, you take it away as a consequence. Please don't, in all that you do, yes, in all that you do not use your connection tools or your bonding time as a consequence for a misbehavior. Don't. Otherwise, when you do, then it begins to feel like your love is a reward for their good behavior. Love is supposed to come unconditionally as a parent to a child. So the moment you begin to take that love away, they feel there is a need for them to behave a certain way to receive it. So it becomes, you know, the way a monkey feels rewarded when you give the monkey a banana. Your child is not a monkey. You are also not trying to raise a people pleaser. So please, don't take love away when rules are broken. Don't disconnect. Don't use connection time or bonding time as a consequence or a punishment or a penalty for a wrong behavior. Don't take love away as a consequence for wrong behavior or broken rules. Please don't do that. Except you're trying to raise a people pleaser. People pleasers don't stand for themselves. They fall for anything as long as it makes who they are trying to please happy. So tonight, let's take a moment and reflect. What is one thing you would look at and decide to do differently with your child today? Talking about repair and rebuild. Talking about stopping the trauma. Begin by repairing the relationship and then rebuild from where you are. Tonight is not for shame. It's for awareness. Let's rewrite the patterns. And let's begin to parent from a healed space. If you were to look at it differently, what was one childhood belief? What was one childhood myth that you held so dearly, but now you realize that it is very unhealthy? What was one thing you held on to in terms of parenting? When it comes to parenting, this is how it must be. This is what I must do. But now you are beginning to see it differently. In fact, maybe you've started passing it on to your children. What is one thing you can do differently? The next time your child misbehaves, according to you, what is one thing you can do differently? What is one thing you can do differently? How can you offer yourself as an individual, you as a parent, how can you offer yourself compassion? How can you be compassionate to yourself? How can you be soft, loving, tender, compassionate, kind, affirming to yourself? Not for anything else other than the fact that you are on a journey and you are growing on this journey. Give yourself some credit. You are not a bad parent. You are a healing parent. And healing starts the moment we become aware and the moment we begin to choose differently. Thank you very much for sitting through today's class. We've had 1 hour. Yes, 1 hour. We started at about 8:16 and this is 9:23. Thank you very much for sitting through today's class. Thank you for sitting through this deep, tough, soft, and quite fragile conversation tonight. Let's keep raising our children and let's keep parenting our inner child. Reparenting our inner child and parenting our children. That is hard. That is tough. But then I want you to know that we are all in this together. I'm not coming from a place of perfection. I'm sure you already know that by now. I'm not coming from a place of perfection. I've had to heal myself. I've had to go through therapy sessions. I've had moments where I would cry. I had a time where I had to send my mom a voice note. And by the time I was done, that voice note was 13 minutes long. I remember that voice note very vividly. So like I said, it's a process. And we have to own it. We're in this together. I'm here for you. I'm always rooting for you. Thank you for sitting still. Thank you for being here from start to finish. And thank you for joining today's class. Let me know whatever concerns, what feedbacks, what questions. We can take questions. Can we take questions? Can we take feedbacks in 2 minutes?